Hello, my name is Genevieve Negrón-Gonzales. I am in the School of Education at the University of San Francisco, and I'm the faculty director of the master's program in higher education and student affairs at USF. I've been asked to share a bit about my personal story and my path to graduate school. I'll start by saying I am Chicana, I am first gen, and I'm a proud beneficiary of affirmative action. I grew up on the US-Mexico border in Southern California during a time of heightened violence against immigrant communities, a time that's not actually so unlike the period that we're just coming out of with the Trump administration. During my years, this was the mid-90s, as a first-gen student in a Mexican Catholic family, I didn't have the words or the theories or the citations to name what was happening, but I can remember being a kid and having a really deep sense that things didn't have to be this way, that what I was seeing was unjust and unfair, and that there had to be a different way forward. I got engaged in political activism as a teenager in my home community of Chula Vista, California, right on the US-Mexico border, and I went on to UC Berkeley as an undergraduate student. I began my undergraduate years at UC Berkeley in the fall of 1996, which meant that my class was the last class to be admitted under affirmative action policies. This also meant that I stepped onto a campus that was embroiled in a racial justice fight. And being there at this time fundamentally changed the trajectory of my life, my personal life, my professional life, my political life, and my family life. There were two key things during those years that really shaped my professional trajectory. The first was witnessing the power of collective action, and the second was understanding the transformative power of education. I'll say a couple sentences about each of these. In terms of the power of collective action, it was during those years and in that space that I learned what it means to engage in grassroots organizing, in civil disobedience, and in campaigns rooted in the community. And I saw, as we fought for the institution to grapple seriously with questions of white supremacy and racial privilege, first through the fight around affirmative action, and then as we fought against deep cuts to the ethnic studies program, how people, when organized, can exert a collective resistance against powerful institutions. This realization, this experience, this moment of learning was life-changing for me. It has instilled in me a sense of possibility that I've carried with me for the past 20 years. It's the possibility that no matter how bad things get, how hard things are, how overwhelming it seems like the task ahead of us is, that change is possible and that change is brought about like people like us. It was also transformative in terms of grappling with the transformative power of education. I'm a student of ethnic studies and Chicano studies. It was through accessing this education at UC Berkeley at this time that I began to understand how critical it is to fight for this kind of educational space. How education is not just about getting a good job, about how it's not just getting some initials after your name or a good title, but that how an educated person has not just but the potential, but also the responsibility to transform the society that they're in. I graduated from UC Berkeley as an undergraduate in the year 2000. And a few years later, I returned to the same campus to earn my master's and my PhD from the School of Education. Today, I'm an interdisciplinary scholar of education and immigration. My work focuses on undocumented young people, social movements, and higher education. I'm co-author of the book, Encountering Poverty, Thinking and Acting in an Unequal World, and I'm co-editor of the book, We Are Not Dreamers, Undocumented Scholars Theorize Undocumented Life in the United States. I'm the faculty director of the Master's in Higher Education and Student Affairs program at the University of San Francisco. I get to work every day with graduate students who want to transform the space of higher education to enact more equitable outcomes for oppressed and marginalized people. I have the honor of being one of very few Chicanas in the professoriate in this country, and I know that that representation matters to my students, to my colleagues, and to folks on the ground doing this work on a daily basis. My students come to this program with a vision for change and a passion for justice, and they go out into the world after graduation, working in positions in higher education, armed with the skills and tools that they need to be change makers in this space. Working with these students has been one of the points of pride and hope for me in my life, being able to see students come into the institution and leave a couple of years later armed with this deep sense of responsibility, of obligation, and also possibility for hope and change that I think keeps all of us afloat in the hard moments. I do this work because I believe deeply in the transformative power of the institution of higher education. There is a Caribbean social theorist named Stuart Hall who famously said, "The university is a critical institution or it is nothing." I put that quote on the syllabus for the intro theory class that I teach to my brand new master's students, because it is an explanatory quote about what the institution of higher education is, but it's also in a lot of ways a charge for all of us, right? What are we going to do with the time and the space that we have? What are we going to do to make good on this charge that the university has to be a critical space? What is it that we can do with our work on a daily basis that makes it that critical space that has the power to change society? I think we need to keep that close as we do this work. I've decided to make my home in higher education because I believe deeply in what is possible in this space. So thank you for having me. Thank you for hearing me out. I wish you the best of luck on your journey. You know, think really positively about what it means for this next period of our life as this next generation of students comes into the institution, comes into graduate education, is changed through that process, and also changes society through what they learn and what they do. So thank you for being a part of that. And I wish you all the best of luck in your journey.